there guys, PC Guy here with the weekly news in tech and gaming. This has been a quite full week of news, not so much in terms of releases and such, but stuff that actually is happening in the tech world. Most actual hardware releases and new features and things that we can expect should be able to be seen in the coming few weeks, with Computex being almost at our door, as well as E3 not long after. Computex in particular is holding the AMD keynote, which is basically the main feature of the event, where we are expecting to see some news regarding Zen 2 and Navi from AMD, but AMD has also confirmed their presence at E3, so we might have one of those things announced at E3, another at Computex. We'll have to wait and see, but in any case, it has been confirmed by AMD in their latest investor meeting that both Navi and Zen 2, or the Ryzen 3000 CPUs, will be released in Q3 this year. Now, Q3 starts in July, so the long rumored date of 7 July is a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see, and it is all rumors anyway. For starters, this week we're going to start the actual news with another vulnerability discovered. It's called ZombieLoad. That's what the designation that has been given. It affects only Intel CPUs, I believe, and it is related to hyperthreading. So the temporary fix that some manufacturers are doing is temporarily disable hyperthreading on their chips, and there is already fixes in the works naturally, and it is a very difficult thing to exploit. So it's not something that the home user needs to worry about. You would have to be specifically targeted and specifically infected with that malware to even be vulnerable. But in any case, it affects all Intel chips that are older than 8th gen. So 8 and 9 gen are perfectly fine. It's already not an issue for them. But those older chips are still vulnerable. And well, yeah, like I said, it affects only Intel, which kind of prompted me to think about making a video about Intel versus AMD um, in 2019, which I'll probably do and upload soon after this one, but I won't take more time here with that. It's been several exploits now that affect primarily Intel. Some also affect AMD, but there has been the majority that affects mostly Intel. And I'm talking about things like Spectre, Meltdown, Spoiler, now ZombieLoad, and a few others. Some also affect Intel, but they all affect. No, sorry, some also affect AMD, but they all affect Intel. So that's something to consider when going for a system. But I'll go further into it on the next video. Still on AMD, which, let's face it, it's the real big source of news lately, if there are new releases upcoming, and nothing much coming from Intel or Nvidia in the near future. The Threadripper is notably absent from the roadmap. That might mean that the Threadripper series is being discontinued. Now, what could this mean for more serious, more enthusiast level consumers that want even better CPUs in the top mainstream? Well, the reasoning is probably that the main draw of Threadripper was the enormous core count. Now, if there's going to be mainstream CPUs like the Ryzen 3000, what was the designation again? 3850, something like that, are supposed to have 16 cores, 32 threads. That kind of goes into Threadripper territory. So that might be one of the reasons. Another reason is that it just is not ready yet to be revealed and announced, or they are still considering if they're going to do more and better Threadripper CPUs. We'll have to wait and see. In any case, it is a bit disappointing, not for me or not for the average user, but for the more enthusiast level that are willing to spend more on the processor. It is a bit disappointing because it's not only about the core count, it also had a lot more, for example, PCIe lanes, which, well, is something that you will not find on the normal Zen 2 architecture mainstream module, let's call it. So we'll see if there is any Threadrippers in the future. Let me know if you guys think that's going to be missed or not. But yeah, that's it for the Threadripper apparently. Another point is that even though it's not important for the average consumer, there is a bit of a status in the, let's say, manufacturer business, that if you are holding the crown on the very high end, even though the middle of the pack, the budget level, is what usually matters most in terms of sale volume and profit for the company. If you hold the crown of the best on the high end top of the product lineup, let's say, that usually gives the perception to the consumers, and it kind of spreads the message that, oh, Intel is better, oh, AMD is better, because they have the best processors. Well, they have the best one at the top. Doesn't mean that the ones at the price level you're aiming for are also best from that company. You could get better from the other company. Like now, for example, the Intel, right now in this moment, Intel is the king of processors at this point. But if you are going for a middle of the pack or budget processor, you're better off with AMD. So, there's those considerations to think of. But there's that perception that the company that has the best processor, period, is the best one to buy from. And the Threadripper is something that could go on top of the stack, give Intel that publicity, that mind share, so to speak, and kind of boost their market shares. But that's digressing, and now we'll go back to the news. Still on the ND side of things, a couple new GPUs have been spotted. Originally, people hoped it was already Navi being spotted, but unfortunately, no. It's a Radeon and the RX 600 series, more notably 630 and 640, and they are not based on the Navi architecture. They're still Polaris, so older generation, and they seem to be more of a budget thing. But yeah, you kind of I was not expecting, a lot of people were not expecting them to throw out these GPUs, but here they are for the budget sector. Perhaps I have not seen actual performance reviews for them because they're not actually out there, but we'll see when they come out. And yeah, still on the topic of graphics cards. Now on Nvidia's side, Nvidia is expected to release a refresh of the 2000 series to try to placate the Navi launch and to give itself a bit more, let's say, performance, and to give itself a bit more publicity, mindshare, whatever you want to call it, to put itself out there again to try to placate the sales that Navi will have when it comes out, depending on how good it is, obviously. They will be doing a release of the 2000 series with improved memory, much like with the 10 series, they also had the GDDR5 and then an improved version of GDDR5. So that's what we are looking at here. Probably not massive memory improvements, but something along the lines of, if they have now 14 Gbps on the memory bandwidth, they will have 16 with the improved memory capabilities. So not sure what that will do to the price, if it will be pricier models coming out with the improved memory, if the models will come out at the same price, which hopefully it was what happens because they are already pricey as it is, and the older, I apologize, and the older models coming down in price to compensate. So we'll see how that goes, but well, improvements are improvements, I suppose, even if they are tiny ones. And now, last of all, for gaming, there's been another little debacle with Epic Games Store. After all that we have heard of it, and well, the exclusive game situation and all that sort of thing. Now they have conducted a store-wide sale, where I apologize, but I'll just check my notes really quickly. Any game that was priced $15 or higher will have a percentage discount. Sorry, I apologize. Let me start over again. It's a bit confusing. Every game has a percentage discount, and every game that is $15 or higher has an additional 10% off. So this was basically a store-wide sale for every title there, and a few developers pulled their games out of there because they did not really agree with the terms of the sale. And yeah, one of those was a highly anticipated game, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. It's not out yet, but it's already up for pre-order. And it was available on sale for a little bit, and then it was pulled out, and it was just not available. And if you tried to go look for it, you just had the 404 error, and it was not there. Now, if you had purchased the game during the window it was on sale, Epic Store will honor the deal, and you'll get the key coming out of the discount coming out of Epic Store's pockets, obviously. And if not, well, you're out of luck, and you'll just have to buy it at a regular price or at some other sale where the game is actually present. But it's a classic case of miscommunication, I suppose, between the store and the developers to let them know how well the sale was, to give them a chance to opt in or out before the sale goes live. But it's one of those things. It's a new store. There's bound to be some, let's call it, birthing pains and some things that kind of can go wrong. But yeah, it's a bit frustrating when you're looking for a game, you want to buy it. Oh, that game's on sale. I'm gonna come home and buy it, and then it's not there anymore, and you missed it, or something of the sort. Uh, Things are expected to go a bit more smoothly when we're dealing with large corporations, large companies. They have a lot of people they can use to communicate with partners, and these things should definitely not happen. Now, this was it for the news for the week. On a different note, it's a bit bare back there, but as you can see, it's well, there's nothing on the walls. The lighting issue is a bit frustrating. I'm still trying to figure it out. There's a window right here, as you can see, and I kind of have to figure out exactly how to have the curtains open to have the right amount of light for the camera and all that sort of thing. I have to sort out a bit image quality. And as far as decoration goes, fear not, you will not have a super boring background like you used to have on my talking head videos before. I have already gotten a few. You might have seen it in other if you follow other channels, tech channels, several of them have them lately, and I've been following them for like 2 years now or so, and I've always loved the idea and loved how they looked. So I got a few of those displayed prints, I guess. They can really call them paintings. So that's going to be our background there, back there on the wall. And I'm also thinking about a few supports for some other gaming slash tech related decoration that I have lying around. And hopefully that will make a good background. Also, we'll have to eventually think about having a proper camera as opposed to the webcam that I have right now. It's a nice webcam, it is, but it's not handy to film things. If I want to do, for example, the Minitech clips, it's very difficult to actually get the camera a little. Yeah, you can imagine. I have a little tripod, like 5 centimeter one. Actually, it's here. I'll let you guys see. Like I have to put the camera on this and just have looking down, and then since it's not smack in front, the field of view is like an angle, so it's very difficult to yeah, work with that. So I'll have to think about sometime in the future getting a different camera, borrowing a camera or something like that for the more elaborate videos that I would want to do, like a build video and such like that. But yeah, I will also hang in the back there the Minitech board, I suppose, because makes sense, I guess. And yeah, you can imagine a bit more of elaborate background to the channel, a bit more tech related, a little bit less butterflies, and yeah. Anyway, I won't drag the video on for too long. We're still busy with the house. You might have heard it in a few videos before, but there's a ton of bad situations with the house where the construction is just not what you would expect from a new house, and we have to sort out what exactly to do about it and if we can hold the people responsible for fixing it or if it's within delivery standards, which seem to be particularly lax in the Netherlands, which is something you would not expect in a pretty developed country, really. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. And yeah. Anyway, this has been Ethic PC Guy. Like, subscribe, give us a few comments down below of topics you'd like us to cover, things you'd like to see change in the channel. And in any case, if you do like that idea of you know a tech channel that is run a bit, let's say, more on the amateurish side and trying to cover things that people like beginner level stuff, amateur level stuff that you don't necessarily need to be a tech whiz to cover. Then yeah, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next time.